It's time for our hashtag segment as we're going to hit social media and we're going to bring in Megan Brantley, the VP of Research at LikeFolio.com, and we have Evelyn Baker back with us, Fast Market contributor.
Hi, yeah. So, Whirlpool. And I mentioned earlier how you buy a house, you got to put something in it. And I always thought of Whirlpool with Maytag, you know, their washers and dryers. And speaking of their dryers, it does have to be mentioned that they are seeing some headline risk. In the UK, they're facing a recall demand for safety risks of fires for their dryers. But I did not know that Whirlpool owned KitchenAid. And whenever you go to their website and see all of their brands, there's a lot more to Whirlpool than I thought. So Megan, I can't wait to hear your LikeFolio data on this. What do people think about Whirlpool?
So Whirlpool is one that we've been watching for a while. We're seeing significant strength in the brand, especially recently. You know, one that is driving growth in particular is KitchenAid. And I think that the first thing that comes to mind when you think about KitchenAid is that iconic, probably stand mixer that you see in every person's house, you know. And really though, they sell appliances as well. They have some really sophisticated smart ovens and other devices, and this brand is showing really significant strength and growth. We like to see that year over year growth, as you can see with the peaks. I think that in general though, when you look cohesively or comprehensively at their purchase intent, it's also really strong. You know, we're up about 18% year over year when you look at this quarter. And what's important to note is, you know, you see those peaks and valleys. So people tend to buy appliances, especially beginning in September and ending in about January, because that's when they roll out the new models. And so, you know, it's typically very seasonal. But what's interesting is if you look at the valley that we're in, that second quarter that ends in about 10 days, it's performing really strongly. So this is one that we're going to watch heading into the end of their quarter.
So Megan, when I look at this, and I always think of Whirlpool and the different brands that it has, it's basically based on consumer sentiment, right? Because if consumers are out there spending dough on $300 mixers, and by the way, I know how much those cost. My ex-wife has a couple of them. But if you look at like the consumer spending trends, maybe not just in Whirlpool, and we've seen those retail numbers being pretty solid. Is that kind of giving you that hint that, hey, as long as the consumer's doing well, they're going to spend money on KitchenAid, you know, mixers and dryers and washers, and that helps Whirlpool?
Absolutely. I think that Whirlpool is also doing a really good job developing products that consumers want. For example, you know, one washer dryer that they are showing off now, it's an all-in-one washer dryer. So you don't even have to move things from the washer and dryer when you're, you know, doing your laundry and things like that. So I think that they're being really creative in ways to meet consumer needs. And they have so many brands. You know, you have Whirlpool, you have Maytag, you have KitchenAid, you have Indesit, you know, you have all of these different options, and they serve different consumers. So with that breadth, there's something that everyone can find that they like.
Yeah, by the way, that combination washer dryer, it's all over Europe. We're just late to the game.
But we do actually have a tweet that speaks directly to Whirlpool's washers and dryers compared to their competitors, like, for instance, Samsung, which this Twitter user, Jason, says, "Samsung, I love that you have engineered washing machines that can connect to the internet. But Whirlpool and Maytag, I love that you have engineered washing machines that can wash clothes. Never jeopardize your core competency for the bright, shiny object." And while, yes, maybe some newer developments from Whirlpool are also coming out, it seems that they've really nailed their niche product.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Why do you need your washer and dryer connected to the internet, let alone your fridge or something like that? I've just never gotten that. So
I set a timer. It's easy. Well, 45 minutes, I go down to the basement.
So one other trend that's at least amongst my group of friends, I guess, is younger people. I don't want to speak for the whole, you know, sector of younger people or demographic of younger people, but we eat out a lot. We don't do a lot of home cooking, and I'm definitely someone who doesn't do really any home cooking at all. But I don't have all these different KitchenAid stuff, but I recognize these brand names because when I grew up, they were on the counter. They were, you know, those pieces that we had. But kind of going off this tweet, yeah, I mean, I saw a toaster online that connects to the internet. Like, I don't see why some of these things need to be smart devices. They really just need to do what they're supposed to do. And I think that although this tweet was a little bit sarcastic, it really nails home kind of a point for where products have gone over the last couple of years.
And think about this, your washer and dryer is in a mud room or in a closet, right? You don't see it, but everybody's buying pretty washer and dryers, you know, with stainless steel and different colors. What's that? I just don't get it. Okay.
But Whirlpool has sort of made a transition into this market, into the digital age, I would say, because I was talking about on their website, they have a whole list of their brands. And in 2017, they acquired this startup called Yummly, which is a recipe search engine pretty much. And Yummly is doing a pretty good job at incorporating Whirlpool with maybe more smart devices. So this next tweet from Felipe says, Whirlpool announced partnership with Yummly at CES for their connected kitchen appliances. Yummly integration means enabling Whirlpool to help with cooking and shopping list. So I don't know, maybe if for your KitchenAid appliances that you do see every day because they are on your counter, maybe some smart additions for that are not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, Megan, if you look at that from a consumer sentiment thing, if you had a mixer attached to the internet where you could actually, bring up a recipe on it while you're baking a cake, would that actually drive more maybe consumer sentiment as far as your data goes?
I don't think we see that as much on the mixer, but on an oven, absolutely. You know, there's an oven that they released, and I love you brought up Yummly because it not only integrates with Yummly, but it integrates with your calendar. So it tracks and it identifies time periods that says, okay, this is an ideal time. You have 45 minutes at this time. Here's a recipe we recommend based on the different, whether you have dietary restrictions or allergies or just recipes that you like within Yummly. And then it has a screen on it so you can actually see the recipe while you're cooking without having to flip through a cookbook. So I think that would be a smarter integration that I can see. I know, I'm sure my mom would have loved to have had something like that whenever all of us were young. So I think that, being strategic, like you said, make the core product do what it's supposed to do, but then leverage the technology that you have. And so I think that is a smart Yummly integration.
Yeah, as long as they don't make it too difficult to actually make it do its core function, which a lot of times we see with these smart devices. But real quick before we let you go, Megan, kind of bringing it back to more actionable and trading with Whirlpool. I'm looking at your consumer purchase intent data here, and I'm seeing basically a sideways to downtrend with the stock where you've had kind of steady growth in terms of the purchase intent mentions. We know that it's more of an international company, and they've got obviously, geopolitical trade war exposure as well with tariffs. But setting that aside, do you like what you're seeing in terms of the divergence between the stock price and the purchase intent?
Yes, this is one that we're watching. I think that, their quarter ends at the end of June. And right now, their second quarter is actually performing better than their first quarter. This is kind of a break in what we typically see with purchase intent. So the fact that they're showing such strength and buying power around their appliances to us is really positive. And it's one we'll definitely watch to see how the market performs, because at the end of a quarter, it could be a nice play.
All righty, we'll look forward to that earnings date as well around Monday, July 22nd. Maybe we'll talk Whirlpool that day as well, Megan. But we'll let you go at this point and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you guys too.
Evelyn, thanks for joining us as well.